Today, we're going to be talking about traits that kept me stuck in a 7-year affair relationship as the other woman. So, we're going to be covering 10 traits that I see often with the women that I work with and stories of women that have been in long-term affair relationships as the other woman. We're going to be talking about these traits and really what keeps us stuck, compromising ourselves time and time again in a situation that feels one, extremely fulfilling, and then at the other end, it is hurting us completely. That's the nature of secret relationships. They're painful. And then they also have so many highs because there is this love that you cannot fully get to. And so you're always in a state of craving more. My name is Kate London. I am a affair recovery coach. I specifically help women that are in affair relationships through the pain and confusion of living a double life. So I offer one-to-one private coaching to help you navigate this confusing, messy, emotional roller coaster and really put you on a path of standing in your strength, in your dignity, in relationships and in life. What we learn in these one-to-one containers doesn't just impact the affair relationship, but it greatly impacts your work relationships, your family relationships, your relationships with your friends. It is so much deeper than just the affair relationship when we go at the level of healing the roots of where this has come from. Okay, so without going too far into that, and then I also offer a membership community where you can talk with other women. The power of community is insane. One of the most difficult things about this situation is that you're isolated, you're alone, you have no one to talk to, you have no one that really gets your situation. And so if you can have the ability to process, to mirror, to be seen, understood, or to see others in your story, you will, I feel like that's sometimes 90% of what you need in terms of healing. It's just having people by your side that get you. Okay, so let's go into trait number 1, fear of abandonment. And this is both in the affair partner's side or the man that is cheating, but also your fear. Both of you deeply fear abandonment. And so you'll hold on to something that feels really good, but then not quite good enough in terms of the dynamic that is unfolding. And yet you cannot seem to let it go because of a deep fear of abandonment. Let it go, the affair. But I'm also going to say, in terms of things that just don't simply work for you, say, for example, you can only meet him at nighttime and you can never see him in the day, or vice versa, then your fear of setting a boundary around, I can't be in a relationship if I can only meet you at these times, you will compromise this value of yours in order to stay connected with him. And when you see this playing out, at the root level of this is a deep-seated fear of being alone, abandoned by yourself. Number 2 is avoiding doing the wrong thing or wrong by others. And so you'll quickly put the needs of your affair partner over and above the needs of yourself. This one in itself kept me stuck in an affair relationship for so much longer than what was healthy or what felt good to me. I was so concerned about the emotions of my affair partner. I was in the workplace with my affair partner, so I knew that if I stopped the affair, then I'd probably have to leave my job. And if I left my job, I really didn't know how they would sustain business without me because I just felt like I knew so much after being there for so long about their business. If they didn't have me, then it would be a challenge on their business. And I was so overly caring about how are they going to cope while I myself was drowning in the process. Number 3 is prone to manipulation. Prone to manipulation. When we are blind to when other people are using us, exploiting us, manipulating us, when we can't see these patterns, then we fall into the storyline of it as opposed to seeing, wait a minute, this person is manipulating me. Say, for example, they come bring you flowers and bring you more flowers and bring you more flowers when you have said no to the relationship in the early days. This is them buying you when they are deliberately crossing your boundaries after you've said no. And although it feels good because they're buying you flowers, and it feels good because they're pursuing you and they're persistent and they must really want you, they're going over your boundaries. They haven't respected your boundaries. They are earning you through doing something as opposed to you having a sense of choice of, would I like to choose for this? They're buying you through their actions, and this is manipulative. Number 4 is self-gaslighting. Now, this topic in itself, I've brought it up many times. I've brought it up in the blog. I've brought it up in the community time and time again. In fact, we have a course in the community to date. If you're in the community or if you want to join the community, this course in itself, or workshop in itself, is insane. It will help you on so many levels if you just rewatch and rewatch and rewatch where you are gaslighting yourself. And this is greatly undermining your ability to take forward action in a way that is really honoring yourself and the situation that is playing out. So, what's an example of self gaslighting? This could be where he is treating you poorly. Maybe he is unresponsive or defensive, and you say it's okay. He's allowed, like it's understandable because he's really stressed at the moment. He's really trying to navigate the divorce and all of this. He has a lot going on in business, and you really justify his lousy behavior. Or you could be highly anxious, really stressed, really emotional from the impact of his emotions. And instead of saying, "Excuse me, sir, Mr. Married Man, the the impact of your actions are really having an emotional toll on me." And instead of saying that, you're like, "Why would he want to choose me when I'm being like this?" And so you're now putting the responsibility on you and you being emotional, and that's what's causing him to be avoidant and absent, as opposed to, uh, no, we had a date planned. He cancelled on it. He defended himself as opposed to being truly apologetic for the last minute cancellation, etc., etc. If you want to dive more into this, we have a whole workshop on it in the community, and it is extremely valuable. If you can stop putting all the blame on yourself and also start requiring that the people in your life also take responsibility for their part to play in this, you're going to feel a strength that you've never felt before in yourself. That's really important. Number 5 is living in hope. If you're in this affair relationship, there is so many things that you fantasize about this incredible future that you're going to have. For me, in my long-term affair relationship, there was never really a picture painted for the relationship per se, but I was in the workplace. My boss was my affair partner. He painted things like, if you continue working for us and you continue this affair, then I can help you. Like I had goals of buying houses, or I had different investment goals. And he's like, if you continue to work, then we can help you to get these goals and all of these things. And or for example, I loved healthy food. I loved organic food. So they're like, we can help you set up your own garden so that you're living from the land. And oh my God, these dreams just made me feel incredible. They were like, we can help you set up your own business. And I was just like, a lot of these values were my values. And so I was living on the hope of what could be. And in reality, most of it never happened. It was these beautiful, like what did happen was my actions, my driving forward that I had taken action on because they were my goals. But what didn't happen was all these incredible grand pictures of how life is going to be if I stay in this situation. It was just fantasy after fantasy after fantasy after no follow through, no follow through, no follow through. And eventually I saw that, and it was like, okay, yeah, you're saying this, and yet I cannot buy into this because it's not going to feel good. It's just not going to unfold. But back to you, if you're wanting to, like, if you and your affair partner see a relationship that is the potential for the ideal relationship that you want to create for yourself, then you could be holding on to the hope of, we're going to have our own house one day, we're going to have our own kids one day, or maybe you're not going to have your own kids, but you're going to have your own house. Maybe you have passions that are very similar and you're going to open up your own business with these passions, or help this non-for-profit that really, whatever it is, you're going to learn to do this activity together or travel the world together and all of these things. And yet how much is really unfolding? It's not to say that it can unfold, because it absolutely can. And what changes it from a can to a can't is you standing up for yourself and being very boundaried, not tolerating anything less than, and requiring that there is a follow through. If you do that, then absolutely there can be a shift in the right direction. But we must stop at holding on to hope and just hoping that things will change, and start living in the present and being like, am I seeing this today? What do I need to see today? I don't want to live for the future if we're not even seeing what can happen today unfold today. Number 6 is emotional dependence. Now, this is you are living for the validation, the approval, the perspective, the opinion of your affair partner. You're dependent and emotions of your affair partner. You live through them. If he's unhappy, then you're stressed. If he's really happy, then you're feeling really good. It's enmeshment, in short. You're enmeshed. But you're dependent on him kind of leading the way of your worthiness, or your ability to take forward action is through the approval, validation, or through the emotional state of your affair partner. Number 7 is low self-worth. I don't really like in itself just being like low self-worth, because a lot of the individuals that I work with are extremely successful, ambitious, strong women. Absolutely. And what lowers the self-worth is getting into the affair relationship, not before. It was when you got into the relationship, and then that wore you down and your self-worth over time. However, if you had a strong self-worth and you still have that baseline, I'm going to say energetically, you still feel like you have this worth, the emotional load that an affair brings will just continue to wear down at you. And so the more it wears down at you, the more you lose strength to move forward. And that's why it's so important to seek support, whether it be therapist, opening up to a friend, or joining something like the community, or getting support from myself. The importance of this, because then you're riding on the back of our strength when you've lost yours. I tell you, at least for me, when I got into this situation, I felt like I was strong and destined to do big things, and yet I was knocked to the ground. I could not. I just depleted myself. And so having the strength, and actually, if you watch other videos of mine of how I got out of this, I told someone that was an extremely strong individual, and his strength was what helped me move the needle when I didn't have the strength myself. Number 8, and this really comes off the back of self-worth, is setting boundaries. When we are being cut down, cut down, cut down, cut down, and we lower our self-worth, we also struggle to set clean, clear, healthy boundaries. And this also bumps up against number 1, which is the fear of abandonment. If I set boundaries, will I then lose you? And especially in affair relationships, what I see is when women do set boundaries, the affair partner will actually set a bigger boundary on top of yours. And so it's like, you're rejecting me, I will reject you harder. For example, you say, listen, this is not working. This is really hurting me. I feel like we need to take a month break. And he will say, you know what? Let's just end it completely. He didn't hear what was happening to you. He didn't hold you in all that you're feeling. Instead, he just went above and beyond and rejected you more. So really be mindful of this. It can be extremely painful setting boundaries when the boundaries we set are not respected. And if we're encountering pain, more pain when we set boundaries, it's completely understandable that you'd stop setting boundaries because it's just too hard and too painful and too emotional and you lose their love. So let me just keep calm, stay with where things are at and not rock the boat. Number 9 really bumps up against the one before as well is avoiding conflict. For example, when you start to speak your truth of how this is really impacting you or what can and cannot work for you in this relationship, and then they get loud, angry, defensive, emotional, shut down, all of this, it becomes really hard for you to speak up, say your truth when they're having a completely emotional response to your emotions. In a healthy relationship, you want to be able to go to your partner when you're in an emotional state, share exactly how you're feeling, and for them to not bring their emotions on top of you, but be able to hold that. And then, in the right timing, share how this is impacting them, but without bringing it and putting it on you when you've just been vulnerable. You need to be able to have the space and the safety to be able to express yourself and to be fully heard, to be fully understood, and then to be respected in what you're sharing, of being like, okay, how can we create a plan forward based on what you're sharing? How can we approach this in a way that this is fixed so you don't feel this way anymore? And number 10 is pedestalling. I don't know about you, but I often put people so much higher than myself. I would always look up to people, always look up to people. And so naturally, when in a relationship, I always looked to up to the people that I was in a relationship, and it was like, did they deem me worthy? Did they choose me? As opposed to, would I even choose them? Are they approving of me? Did they like me? Do they want me? Or as opposed to, is this someone that I would really like to spend the rest of my life with? Is this someone that I really value their values, their morals, their principles? Is this someone that I feel really safe to express all parts of me? Is this someone that I feel respected by, safe with? All of this. So notice where you may be pedestaling or idealizing your affair partner, thinking he is the bee's knees. He's got his whole life sorted. One of the common things that I see in women that do reach out to me is highly successful. They're highly successful women, but also the men that they're in a relationship will be like a high businessman, celebrity, someone of high wealth, high status. We see leaders of church, all of these things. We see leaders. And so we really look up to who they are. However, is this coming at a cost of compromising you and your values because you see them as everything? So you're willing to give up parts of yourself in order to be in proximity with them and to have them choose you. So it's really important to have a look at these. If we can heal a lot of these traits, then you also no longer feel like you're compromising yourself, losing yourself in this affair relationship. So I hope that helps. If you are wanting to get through this experience and feel strong and whole in yourself again, where you're no longer giving up or compromising parts of yourself in love, then reach out to me. You're welcome to join us in the community where we do weekly calls or have one-to-one support with me and we can go deeper. I hope that helps. Bye for now.